In my last video I was talking a little bit about what I started referring to as evolutionary poetics. The idea being that those processes which transform the raw data of the world into the stuff of experience follow sort of whatever that mechanism may be. I don't know exactly what that would be, of course, but there are processes which make this coherent sense that we have, that we are, living in a reasonably meaningful world with a coherent sense around it. We have a through line of our life, and it has a kind of unified scenography about it. So somehow the raw data of the universe is made into this little play that our life seems to unfurl. And I guess I'm just trying to think of some examples of how that might work out, the details of that evolutionary poetics, so how those, specifically how terminology that's associated, concepts which are associated with poetics, might be derived from that data to experience transfer. And the one I'm thinking of right now is metonymy. Metonymy. Raymond Gibbs talks about metonymy really well in his book called The Poetics of Mind. In that book he's talking about the kind of poetic nature of all cognition in a very beautiful but very general sense. But he talks about metonymy quite extensively in there. And metonymy is a part of figurative speech in which you substitute a part for the whole. So, for example, if you're a farmer and you're talking about cattle, you might talk about owning so many head of cattle. At least I think that's metonymy. That might be synecdoche. Anyway, you talk about so many head of cattle, so the head is substituted for the whole animal. And there are other instances of that which I'll try and think of as I keep talking. So I'm just thinking, is there a part of our experience which mimics that? And I think there is, and I think it does it in a really simple and straightforward way. In fact, I think the head of cattle thing is a pretty good representative of that. Not so much here, but quite often when I'm going for walks where my home is up in Cheshire, I pass fields that have got cows in, and quite often some of those cows are looking over hedges or looking over fences. And I don't see the whole cow, I just see the head. But I don't think, oh look, there's a head of a cow over there. It never occurs to me. I'm not baffled by this apparently animated head just sitting there on top of a fence or just hanging in space over a hedge. I unproblematically assume that head is attached to a body. In fact, I'd be very confused and very surprised if I found out it wasn't, or if it was attached to some other different kind of body. A whole series of jokes and paradoxes would emerge out of that observation. But it doesn't. It's unproblematic, as I say. When I see the head of the cow, I assume the body of the cow. And it would be odd if I didn't, and it would be, in a historical sense, it would be adaptively counterproductive of me to assume anything else, really. If I went around assuming that tigers weren't dangerous if I couldn't see their claws, or if I went around assuming that any kind of dangerous animal wasn't dangerous if I didn't see the dangerous part of it, then that would be a big problem for me. I'd have to right at the level of perception. And I should say, when I'm seeing a cow looking over a hedge, I think I am in a sense, I think I am perceiving the whole cow, even though the only part that's registering on my senses, the only sensation I'm having, is of the cow's head. I think in a very real sense I'm perceiving the whole cow. And similarly in all the other instances, I'm looking around right now at this quite beautiful environment and these few trees. I can only see the front of this tree here, one of the vines that were up here. But I know there's a back to that tree. I know there is a back to it. And I'm kind of perceiving the tree as having a back. It's not having to go through some complicated calculating process or some I'm not generating hypotheses about these and then testing them against experience. I feel as if I'm perceiving the tree with a back. Yeah, I think I'm right in saying that. And the same with everything else that I'm seeing around me. I'm assuming all these flowers have got other parts to them. I'm kind of assuming they continue under the ground into roots. But the only part I'm seeing is the part that's absolutely impinging on my senses right now. So I think there's a metonymic relationship happening right there at the level of perception. So even though sensation is only giving me a part of the whole, I am perceiving and conceptualizing the whole. My thought is of the whole. Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. And as I say, there's probably a good adaptive reason for that. It would be, our ancestors who weren't capable of making that metonymic, figurative, poetic assumption would not live very long.